Hello everybody and welcome to Performance E streaming here at Martinsville Speedway for the ANZCAR Cup, E53 ANZCAR Cup. I don't know, add the sponsor name in there, otherwise he'll come around and give me a bit of a beating. Tonight we're here at Martinsville, the paperclip. Often a bit of a track known for some wrecks. The half mile of mayhem, as some people have dubbed it. So we're just jumping in here straight to qualifying, but before we go to that, we'll just go through the top 10 standings of the championship. So in first place we have Josh Micklemore on 170 points. In second place, Michael Skurlock with 158. Third is Jason Martin with 154. Fourth is Chris Purnell with 146. Fifth place we have Joshua Carroll Walden with 144. Sixth is Matthew Cluett with 141. Seventh place is Dave Douglas with 139. Eighth place we have Mirko Dortonak with 136. In ninth place we have Edward Foster with 134. And down in 10th we have Riley Curtis with 132. So we're going to jump to qualifying now. We've got a couple of cars on track. Just looking at Kai Sloggett, but just before I do that, just Josh Micklemore was just going out on his outlap and had a bit of a turnaround there. So he's going to have to start that one again. All the drivers are really struggling on this track tonight with the temperature. It's a very low temperature tonight on the track surface, and also there's always the trouble here at Martinsville of the concrete turns, and those things cause a lot of issue for a lot of drivers. The car can absolutely slide out of control. I'm just glancing towards Edward Foster, who's just come out for his hot lap, so we might jump to him when we're ready. So he's just got across start finish line, and as you can see here, turn 1 and turn 2 is this concrete sort of bottom half of the track. And this was done mainly because the asphalt was getting torn up way too much back in the day. This track does get a lot of use, and the concrete's a lot stronger. So Edward Foster there, just coming across, he's got a time of, if I can get it up, 118.476, which has got him into third place. So the times are going to be a bit all over the place tonight. There's going to be some different faces up sort of towards the top, I imagine. We do have a smaller field tonight as well, with only 22 cars running. So we've got Stephen Williams up next. So this is a great opportunity for some of these guys to get some really good places up. It does look like Stephen's just had an issue there going through turns 3 and 4, I think. Hard to see sometimes. So we'll just see who's out on the track now. And everybody is really struggling out there tonight. As just saw with James Robbie, actually, he's just gone around, spun the car coming out onto the start-finish straight. But he has managed to get himself a time of 14th place. Everybody seems to be struggling, and that's going to be the story of tonight. People are going to have to keep their cars clean and out of the walls tonight. So we'll see who else is around as the mayhem starts to settle a little bit from the initial first burst of qualifiers. It does look like it's gone quiet out on the track for the moment. A lot of people are going to want to start towards the back here tonight, I imagine. Just if you're not starting at the front, you'll want to start towards the back of the pack, because you're going to be able to avoid some of those wrecks. And that's going to be the story of tonight, is avoiding crashes. We're going to see a lot of people going into the walls, I imagine. Hopefully, though, we will manage to get a clean race, but the doubts are there for myself. So, just talk a little bit about Martinsville Speedway. So, Martinsville Speedway was actually sort of opened in the 1940s, 47 to be correct. As I said, the track actually had to be turned from pure asphalt to asphalt concrete mix, because in the late as it came into the 70s, with high traction tyres and extreme horsepower from these cars, they were just ripping up the asphalt on this very short track. And the reason that is because they're accelerating a lot harder, and they're also having to brake a lot harder. So the concrete sections are on those braking zones and on the acceleration zones to keep the track basically able to be used. Now, the concrete sections lasted almost 30 years. They were actually poured in the 1970s, and it wasn't until 2004, so the 28-year-old concrete was ripped up and redone. So it did its job and lasted the time. It really made a big difference. So I think actually we've got Dave Douglas out on track at the moment, so somebody has managed to come out on track and save you of a boring history lesson. So we'll see how Dave does here. Now, going through these corners, you're going to want to go through them slightly higher, so you want to stick to the outside wall as you're going towards the corners and go into the corner, braking on the asphalt, because it's going to be a little bit more grippy. And as soon as you get on the concrete, you have to just ease off the brake a little bit, just so you don't catch the brake, and then get back on the brakes, and then you're going to be accelerating out of the corner, as we say Dave Douglas do here. I think he may have just tapped the wall ever so slightly there, and just tapped the inside as well, so I reckon he's going to be aborting this lap. Fantastic slide out the corner there. Good show, thank you Dave for giving us some entertainment. You will see some awesome drifts as well tonight, so that's another thing that we may see. Thank you so much Dave, you gave me something to talk about. And Matt Danson's out on track now as well. So we'll jump to Matt Danson. Dave Douglas got 3rd place with that lap. So people staying in the pits a bit longer, it may have paid off, because the track temperature might have just increased that little bit. With the dynamic weather system, we do know that temperature can change, surfaces can change, the track condition can change, and it can make a big difference to this concrete and tarmac. Now Danson there just got a bit of a slide going through the corner. We're looking at a track temperature of 29 degrees. Oh, and a big hit there for Danson. He really caught the inside there and locked up. So we're just going to jump to Riley Curtis now. And actually, if we just look on the back of Riley's car, we'll actually do a bit of a follow cam if he is going to stay out for us, which looks like he's just got into the pit lanes. But we do have a missing persons on him down in Rockhampton in Queensland. I'm going to actually turn my page, because that's the page I need and I can't get it at the moment. So it's for Scott Mulder. He hasn't been since Friday, it's the 22nd of March in Rockhampton, Queensland. If you do have any information, or if you have seen him, please contact the police. So thank you Riley for running that little bit of an extra livery tonight, so that hopefully will help and somebody may spot him. So the track has gone quiet again. We do have a few cars out now though, as it comes towards the end of the session. We're with Aaron Wilton, one of the Illusion Motorsport boys, and as you see here, it's just an absolute terror to get around this track. Everybody's really struggling. He just abandoned that lap without really going for it, because he just knew already that it wasn't working. So we're with Gavin Sadler now. So Gavin's up there in the top usually, so this will be hopefully a good lap for him. We'll see how he goes. So as he goes into the corner, it's almost a sluggish pace, and he has lost it just going through the corner there. He's had to abandon that lap. But what this does lead into is a faster second lap. So he can possibly go up and get it in, but he is pitting it. We do have Matt Danson back on the track as well. I think he's got 1 lap to try it in, so he's going to try for that 1 lap. So we'll see how Matt Danson does, and he has got the car into 5th position on my timing screen. So good job there by Matt Danson. It could have been a big problem for him coming later into the race if he didn't get that sort of high up spot. Ben Doherty's out on the track as well as Stephen Williams now, but we'll just jump to Ben Doherty quickly. Ben's always quick, and he's usually very good when it comes to sort of qualifying. So we'll see how Ben does. And he comes through to set his lap time, and Where does that sit him? He's sitting 19th, so a bit of a slow one there for poor Ben. As I said, this track is catching everybody out tonight. A lot of people are struggling, and we're going to see some different faces up towards the top. A lot of people are using this as their drop weekend as well. Of course, this season we do have 4 drop rounds, so you can drop around sort of if you can't make it, for instance, because we are racing pretty much every weekend at the moment with, well, sorry, weekday, with Thunder and the Cup class, but with the Cup it's every 2 weeks, and that can be tricky for some people because of course work and holidays and things like that. But we'll just jump to the gridding up and we will go through our positions. So in first place, Josh Mickelmore with a fantastic time of a 1:18.4. Second place we have Jason Martin. Third place we have Dave Douglas. Following him is Edward Foster. Fifth is Matt Danson with Michael Skurlock in 6th. 7th is Stephen Williams with Jackson Callow in 8th. 9th is Daniel Stevens with Dwayne Preece in 10th. 11th is Matthew Cluett with Mirko Dortanack to his side. Danny G is 13th with Riley Curtis in 14th. 15th we have Aaron Wilton with Phil Otto in 16th. 17th is Gavin Sadler with Kai Sloggett in 18th. 19th is Ben Doherty with Roger Clark in 20th. 21st is James Robbie. 22nd is Norman Clark, and Jake Maloney will be starting at the back, 23rd place. So it's going to be an interesting race here tonight. It's going to be rather frantic, I believe, so we will try and capture all the action, but it is a tricky thing to do sometimes, especially on a track like this, because there is so much happening. Hopefully we'll be able to catch all the action for you though. So we'll get ready to grid up. The cars are on the circuit behind the pace car. Now weather-wise, it is quite cool out there. There's an air temperature of only 18 degrees Celsius, so the track temperature will be quite cool as well. And if we do get some heavy clouds coming over, because it is partially cloudy, we can see the track changing in its evolution. There's not really any wind out there tonight, nothing of significance, so that will be good. Sometimes if there is a strong wind it can cause issue, but not tonight by the looks of it. So away we go, the pace car is leaving, driving everybody away. And everybody is just trying to get their tyres a little bit warmed up now. This is going to be one of the big problems, is with these cars only having such a short track to go around with the pace car, they're going to really start to struggle with tyre temperature. So around we go. And in comes the pace car in the next lap, and then everybody will be off. So everybody's going to be trying to warm up their brakes, warm up their tyres as much as they possibly can. So we'll see the pace car dropping into the pit lane any moment, and then we'll be getting ready for the race. At this moment you're going to want to just try and keep the car clean and in a good spot, because the main thing about this race is it's going to be a race of attrition. So this could be a fantastic race for some of the people that normally are down the back of the field. They could score some real points, and the green is out and away they go. Josh Mickelmore gets a great start there with Jason Martin behind him. All the cars are coming in, and we've already got a caution. Where was that? A few cars just out of position there, just having some trouble. So it looks like we had a big off at the back. It looks like possibly Norman Clark was involved in that. Just having a little look through, see what was happening there. It does look like Danny Stevens has got some serious damage to the back of his car. So it does look like that is possibly what brought out the safety car here. Daniel Stevens has got quite a lot of damage to his car. We'll just try and go back and try and figure out what was going on there. Yeah, so it looks like Stevens has spun the tyres on the start. He's just gone round, and it looks like, unfortunately, the car of Norman Clark caught him as well. So teammates there from the teammates there catching each other out, which is a real shame there for the Middle Finger Racing guys. But we are on our first caution of the night. It didn't take long, obviously, so we will be getting back to racing very shortly, hopefully. Everybody's back into their sort of positions and getting ready to get away. So it looks like it was Matthew Clerk that caught Daniel Stevens there. So yeah, a real shame from the start of these guys. You know, they're getting all ready, the adrenaline's pumping, everyone's getting all jumped up, but it's very easy to make a mistake. So we'll be going around on the pace car a little bit longer than anticipated. Nobody's going to really use this time to jump in for sort of tyres or anything like that. This first lap there's not really enough to worry about, really. You might see some of the back runners though jumping in to try and get some fuel or something like that, just to add a little bit of extra time for the on-track ability. Although it won't be much, it would just be a smidgen of fuel, and it'd probably only get them an extra lap, if that. So everybody's going to be staying out. Does look like we've got two pitters in Daniel Stevens and Matthew Clerk, who both have some serious damage. Matthew Clerk's back out on track. Danny Stevens is still in the pits getting repairs, so well worth waiting out there and sort of getting those repairs fixed now, because as I said, this race is only going to lose more drivers as it goes on. And the old saying, you've got to be in it to win it, applies for sure. So a few people have been caught behind the pace car, and there's going to be a wave round as everything just sorts out here. One of the tricky things with these very short tracks is the fact that, of course, the pace car comes out and people can get caught up behind it. But we have green, away we go, and it looks like everybody is away clean. Brilliant start there for Jason Martin. He's had a fantastic start, but he's sitting on the outside and he's going to lose a heap of positions. Just getting caught on the outside there, he just lost a lot of pace there, but he is trying to hold on the best he can. But he has dropped behind Dave Douglas, and Matt Danson is going to be licking his lips trying to get there as well, trying to get that position off of him. So again, Jason Martin just goes out on the outside and loses a lot of speed there. I think even Jason might have just tapped the wall very lightly on the right hand side. Just a very light sort of skid off there. So it's not working out as the Mitch Motorsport boys would have wanted it to at the moment, with Jason falling back behind the field. We've got a very good fight down the back end of the field. There's quite a lot of cars battling it out for 6th, 7th and 8th place, so we've got a good battle going on down the back end of the field. Dave Douglas has had a fantastic start and has made his way up to 2nd place. Not unsurprising for Dave Douglas. He's always a good runner, and if he can keep out of trouble, he will do well. Sorry, my timing screens are... Oh no, there we go. So yeah, Dave Douglas there, and Matt Danson just coming in underneath him just to try and get that position back. So fantastic driving there from Danson. Real good racing going on at the moment. And as this is happening, it's just giving Josh Micklemore a little bit of ability to pull away from the rest of the field. Now, of course, you're not going to get the same sort of draft effects here as you do at some of the longer sort of speedways and ovals. The short straight here at Martinsville isn't really enough to give you a real big tow. It will help, of course. There is a bit of straight here. These guys are still getting up to sort of quite a high speed. They're getting up to around about 120 to 125 miles per hour on those straights. So quite a lot of speed involved. And of course that does mean that there's a big sort of hole punched in the air behind the guy in front. As we know, these new Cup cars have got quite a bit of aero on them, so that means that, you know, it does open up a bit of air behind the car in front. So Matt Danson's trying to use that to his advantage. He's just got to drive clean and try not to spin up the tyres too much, which he just did on that last lap actually. Danson just caught his tyres a little bit on the exit. And this is the hard thing on Martinsville, is to try not to spin up your tyres. You have to be smooth. You have to really ease the car through the corners. And you just want to slap on the accelerator. You just go through these corners and it feels like you're going so slow, which you kind of are. These cars are still doing around 60 to 70 miles per hour around these corners, though, so they are going very fast. But when you're driving them, they just feel like they want to do more. The car just feels like it wants to go faster. And if you do let it do that, it will get out of hand very quickly, and you'll find yourself in a spin quite early on. So Matt Danson is closing on Josh Mickelmore at the moment in the front. We have... Oh, and Jason Martin's just had a big moment, as well as Edward Foster as well. Edward Foster just down the back had a big moment. He's gone into the wall, and we have a yellow. We have the caution. So E53 Edward Foster has had a big moment coming out the corner. It looks like he got caught out by Jason Martin in front of him, having a bit of a spin just as he exited the corner. So as he went through the corner, Jason Martin just had a bit of a moment. And that's basically caught Edward Foster out. So I'm just going to go back and have a quick look at that one. So yeah, it looks like Jason Martin was just coming out the corner, and he's just spun up his tyres a little bit, lost traction, and he's managed to catch the car before it goes off. He caught the yellow curb on the inside line there, and he's come back and just come out in front of Edward Foster, who's had to slam on the brakes. He's managed to keep it relatively out of the wall though, so good work there by Edward Foster, but that was very nearly a big accident there, so good job for all drivers not to get involved in that one, but it could have been a very big accident there. So we'll just jump back to live coverage. And a few drivers are jumping into the pits now. So we have Jackson Callow, Danny G, Gavin Sadler, Aaron Wilton, Jake Maloney, Kai Sloggett, Roger Clark, Phil Otto, all in the pit lane at the moment, getting services done. So they're going to change those tyres, get a fresh set of rubber on the car, but more importantly get some extra fuel in the car. Now, fuel mileage is not going to be a huge issue here, but the cars will need to grab a bit of fuel. We've still got quite a few laps to go. We're on lap 21 of 250. So obviously these cars are going to need a bit of fuel, and the strange thing is these cars use quite a bit of fuel because of the acceleration here. When you're going into the corner and you're having to hard accelerate, you generally burn up a little bit more fuel because you've got to change down a gear, then change up a gear, and you get high revs, which means you get sort of worse fuel mileage basically. Rather than sitting sort of at a relatively sort of medium rev range going around rather fast. So these cars tend to use up a bit of fuel in these situations. But the main thing is going to be tyres. Tyres are really important here, but you've got to get them nice and warmed up. But as soon as they start going off, you start to have real problems. On this concrete surface, it is an absolute nightmare to drive a car that's just skidding and not sticking to places. So it looks like everybody's sort of shaken into position now, and we're going to get ready for the restart very shortly. So the pace car lights are off, so we'll be going back to green very, very soon. Just as we say, everybody's just got to sort themselves out now basically. This is the tricky part, of course, but the pace car is in, and we will be going green very shortly. Matt Danson is very much ready for it. When Josh Mickelmore drop the hammer, and he does now, catches Matt Danson out slightly. Good start from all, looks like everybody's cleanly through. Too wide through the corner, almost 3 wides down the straight. That's a very, very dangerous place to be on Martinsville for sure. But it looks like everybody's gotten away relatively cleanly, which is what we want to see. And Josh Mickelmore has managed to keep the lead, but Matt Danson had a very good start and managed to sort of keep in place with him. The man that brought out this yellow, Edward Foster, has managed to actually sort of keep in 8th place, so he's got back to 8th place, which is fantastic for him. There was no real damage to the car, nothing really major, but he just couldn't do anything in that situation. He had to sort of just brake, and if he sort of let go of the brakes, the car would have let go and spun around. So that's what brought out the yellow, but he's managed to get back into that position. But the real big question is going to be on some of those runners on fresh tyres. So Jackson Callow is our first driver on new rubber, and we'll see how he runs through the field. He's just passing Mirkai Dortnak right now, and we'll see how they're going on pace and timing. And we have another yellow out. And we'll try and spot who that was for. It does look like that was Riley Curtis. So we'll just try and figure out what's happened there with Riley. Riley Curtis is just, oh, big moment for him. Very unfortunate moment from Riley Curtis. Just going through turn 2, he's just put a little bit too much pressure on the accelerator pedal, and the back end has just swung around like a pendulum. And just trying to get the car back to sort of straight and running back on the track, he's just caught the right front guard as well. So real shame there for Riley Curtis. He's going to be kicking himself for that. And again, this is going to be a running theme of this evening, is people are going to be making these small mistakes. It's very easy to do, and everyone can do it. So we'll see if anyone else uses this moment to jump into the pit lane. We're on lap 29 now, and a few cars are going to be going around getting themselves back on the lead lap. We'll see where everybody shakes out after this, of course. So at the moment we still have Josh Micklemore and Matt Danson at the front, with Jason Martin and Dave Douglas behind them. So the sort of the top 4 are pretty much in the same order, except for Matt Danson moving himself up ahead, Jason Martin and Dave Douglas. But the rest of the field is shaken up a little bit. The person to speak about right now is actually Jake Maloney. He's having a fantastic drive at the moment. Jake Maloney's actually made a pit stop as well, I believe. So he is the lead pit stop. Well, the lead car to have made a pit stop, and he's currently made 15 positions. So fantastic drive there for Jake Maloney at the moment. But it's so easy, it can change so quickly. All the moment, 1 lapse of concentration here at Martinsville, and your car will go around very easily. Now, Martinsville is a very strange track, and it's a track that some drivers can really adapt to, some drivers absolutely love. Drivers like Richard Petty, of course. Richard Petty was very good at Martinsville. Richard Petty, very good at many tracks, but he's the driver with most wins here with 15, and he's had 30 top 5 results, which is just outstanding work there. You know, when you count it all up, very, very good sort of numbers there for him. So everybody's just forming up. Pace car goes in, and Micklemore will be getting ready on the accelerator. Danson's going to be trying to anticipate when he's going to go. Micklemore's going to wait until he's got round the corner. He drops the pedal, and away we go. Matt Danson's done a great job of keeping hold of him, though. Danson darts down the inside to try and cause Matt Danson to try and cover him off too quickly. Almost try and sort of out-psych the Mitch Motorsport driver there. And that's the thing about this track, is you need to out-psych people. And we've got a car going round out the back. It looks like Dwayne Priest. Oh, a big one for Dwayne Priest. Dwayne Priest there, just getting caught out there. He was just fighting with Edward Foster, and it looks like one of the MFR guys has actually T-boned him. Just go back and try and work out who that was. So we'll try and figure out what happened there. So we'll have a bit of a look through the corner. So it goes round, and it was Roger Clark that hit him. So real shame there for Roger. Not what you want to have. Luckily it wasn't a huge hit, but it's still not something you want to happen, of course. So again, we're back under caution. Again, this is going to be the theme of the night, I feel. Now, our record caution was set in the trucks a while back, and we reckon it was around 15 cautions there. So we'll see if we can out caution that one tonight. Hopefully not, though. We'll try our best not to. So the leaders have stayed out still. So Jake Maloney's actually managed to get himself up to 6th now. So really good work there. And Edward Foster's climbing up as well, back into 5th position. So he's back into the same position he was before he had the unfortunate incident when Jason Martin just lost traction. So we'll just glance down the field and see if anything else is happening. See who has made some positions, things like that. So Jake Maloney, as I said, has made a fantastic drive so far, just keeping out of trouble and getting the car up there. Mirko Dortnak as well, and Danny G and Aaron Wilton have all managed to keep the car in good condition and cleaning up positions. But another good drive so far is Norman Clark. He's managed to get up to 14th position. That's claiming 8 positions over what he had before. So a really good drive for Norman there. So luckily it looks like this should be a short caution. So we should be looking at getting back to racing very shortly, hopefully. So pace car lights have gone out, so next time round we'll be going back to green. So we've got a couple of lapped cars up ahead of us, so hopefully they will get through. They've just come out the pit lane. So again, we're going to see how well Josh Micklemore's restarts go, and he's hit the loud pedal already, and Matt Danson has not been fooled. He is really getting used to Micklemore's starts here, and that's something you'll see if we do have some cautions through this race, is Matt Danson is going to really use it to his advantage to really try and push his way up through the field. We've got a fight down there between we've got a good fight for 3rd and 4th place, and Edward Foster just getting a big moment actually there. He's just, it looks like he might have just got a little bit of contact possibly from one of the other cars that he was fighting with. Did look like he had a big moment going out through the field, but there's going to be a lot of contact here. That's one of the other things about this track, is there's going to be a lot of door rubbing. It's not a track to be sort of friendly on. You have to really push yourself and really be sort of quite aggressive, and the guy doing that is definitely Jake Maloney. He is doing a fantastic drive at the moment. It does look like those slightly fresher tyres are helping as well, because he's really pulling away. He's actually just got up past Edward Foster and is now chasing down Dave Douglas, so we'll see how that runs out. So it does look like that pit stop for fresh tyres has really helped out those guys. It's not the longest stint they're on. These guys are on about 20 laps newer, well, 20 laps fresher tyres, of course, but every little helps, and those fresh tyres do look like they're really helping out at the moment. And we saw last weekend last race, with Mirko Dortnak, how he used those fresh tyres to his advantage and managed to make pace and just catch everybody sleeping. He caught everybody off guard last race and managed to get a fantastic win. It looks like fresh tyres are the thing here at the moment, because Jake Maloney is on an absolute charger. We're still having sort of top laps set by Danson and Micklemore, but behind them it's not going to be long until these guys on fresh tyres start catching them up, because they're starting to set times very close to the leader. Of course, those guys that are on the slightly fresher tyres have had to fight their way through the pack, which will have caused a little bit more wear on the tyre. So the tyres will sort of be evening off a little bit, but they're still going to be fresher. We'll see how this goes. So we'll just drop back to 9th place actually with Ben Doherty. He's having a great drive at the moment. He's doing a fantastic job of getting his car up there. Ben's actually made his way up to 9th now, so 10 places gained for Ben, who started in 19th. Always a good driver, Ben Doherty. Always manages to keep the car relatively clean and sort of just keep it out of trouble. He's always there or thereabouts, and he's been doing a great he's been having a great season this year. It's a shame to see the Martini coloured car go away, but he has joined a new team and he has got the new team colours on him, and it looks fantastic. So it is good to see Ben up there still. Him in a new team is going to help those people a lot, because he's going to give them some very good information. Now Jake Maloney's just catching on Jason Martin at the moment, and we have another caution. And try and find out what that was, and looks like Dwayne Priest was involved in that one. So I'll try and figure out what's happened there. Oh, it looks like Dwayne's just pushed down the throttle too hard. He was exiting turn 2 and has completely lost it. He spun around and taken the whole front end off to that car. A real shame there. Dwayne Priest is going to be kicking himself for that one. Again, another driver error. It's said in a trying to say it in a nice way, driver error, but there has been a lot of driver errors tonight. It's not a hard thing to do on this track though. It's so easy to make a mistake here, and it just takes 1 millisecond of your brain just not lifting your foot off that pedal and you go around. It's a very hard track to race on, and I can speak from experience with iRacing, because I've actually driven here a few times. This is one of the few tracks I do have experience on, usually in trucks rather than the Cup cars though. But even in trucks, you know, you've got a very loose rear end, and it's a very tricky track to drive on. So we've got a few more people jumping in to make some pit stops. Looks like Jackson Callow's come in, and Matt Danson has pitted as well. So that is an interesting one for Danson. So we'll see how Matt Danson does with this pit stop. Of course, places are always handy, but Matt Danson's come out in 12th place, sorry, and he's going to be on very fresh tyres. This is only going to help him. He's going to gain time on these leaders. These leaders are going to have to start to think about pitting, because if we get a bit of a stint where we have some green flag laps for more than 10-20 laps, they could lose a lot of time. If there is a green flag pit stop in this race anytime, these guys are really gambling. So we'll see how that goes. Now obviously people are going to want to try and make as few pit stops as possible, so these front runners are trying to just see how long they can go being in the front. But as we saw, they did start struggling. Just having a look down, actually, it does look like just looking through my timing screens here. It does look like Jake Maloney's pitted as well, so Jake Maloney's made another stop. So he's on another set of fresh tyres now, and he's going to try and charge his way up through the field. Now the lights are off on the pace car, so we will be going green again. Jason Martin now this time on the outside of Micklemore, so teammates here, and we're going to see if Jason Martin can catch him. And looks like Micklemore has just got a really good start there, and he's going to try and keep it so Jason Martin can slot in behind him. He'd rather have Martin behind him than Dave Douglas for sure. And we've got quite a bit of action just behind down the back. Some real good fighting going on down there. And those cars with those fresh tyres, like Matt Danson, has already gained a place. He's just going to be trying to fly through the field now, trying to catch people out. The cars on fresher tyres, so these cars behind the top 3 here, so people like Danny G are on tyres that are 20 laps fresher, and we've got another caution. And it looks like it was Matthew Clewitt there, so we'll just see if we can pull that up and see what happened. It looks like Clewitt's actually just touched with his teammate in the number 3. So Kai Sloggett and Matthew Clewitt there just had a coming together there, and Clewitt came out really looks like he came out worse in the battle, but does look like maybe Kai Sloggett. Sorry, it was Kai Sloggett and Matthew Clewitt. Does look like Sloggett took more damage though. So yet another caution, and Jason Martin doing his customary wiggle to try and catch people off and make them pit. Didn't work this time. We've got... Let's have a look, see. It doesn't look like any of the front runners that still haven't pitted have still not pitted. So Jackson Callow has jumped into the pit lane. So just having a look through the order. So Callow and I think that's it at the moment. And James Robbie as well. James Robbie has jumped in for a service. So just jump in there, just grab some fresh set of tyres and just get out of it. Looks like, did look like James Robbie only changed the inside tyres there. So just changing the left side tyres there, I think, from the looks of things. I just caught the end of it though, so he might have changed all four. But these drivers at the front now are going to have to start thinking strategically, because they're in a position that's not going to be very helpful for them. They're going to have tyres that have been going this whole race, so almost 60 laps of tyre wear, ahead of guys with only 40 laps of tyre wear. So there's a 20 lap difference between cars from Dave Douglas down to Danny G and Ben Doherty. So this is going to be a very interesting restart. Edward Foster's has dropped down to 7th position on that restart, and he's only 1 place higher than Matt Danson. So Matt Danson looks like he made the right choice pitting when he did for the moment, because of course there's going to be another round of pit stops and there's going to be another caution on this track. So everybody will be forming up again very shortly, because the pace car again will be coming in a few moments' time. And as we go, the track temperature has risen a little bit, only by a degree or two, but it is rising slightly. The track's going to improve as it goes on, as all this rubber gets set down, but the pace car lights are out. And we will be going back to green very shortly. And we are green. Jason Martin just got a big moment there into the wall. Sorry, my feed was just slightly off there. So a big moment for Jason Martin. Also, Dave Douglas just glancing the wall there very slightly, but still just a quick tap of the wall, nothing major. And we've got another caution out. James Robbie this time. Looks like James Robbie's just turned it around. I'll just go back and have a look at that if we can. So James Robbie there with the help of car number 54. So Matthew Cluett there just tapped the back of James Robbie there and just caused him to just go around. Not much damage to the car though, so he should be fine. So Dad will be seeing him jumping into the... he has come into the pits. Of course he has. Curse of a commentator there. Come into the pits, decided to make a quick change. We'll see how he goes. But the front runners stayed out, so it's just Dave Douglas and Josh Micklemore now at the front on those old tyres. Edward Foster in 5th has still not changed his tyres, and Jason Martin is coming to the pit lane now. So Jason Martin has come in to make his pit stop. So making his pit stop on lap 64. And I do believe James Robbie's actually just taking it behind the wall, unfortunately. So a real shame there. And Jackson Callow as well has taken it behind the wall too. So a couple of competitors have dropped out, which is not to be unexpected here. A few people having quite a few problems out there tonight. So Dave Douglas there just trying to keep temperature in his tyres, and he's going to be trying to make a good restart here. He wants to make a good start and try and get ahead of Josh Micklemore. If they can get some green running here and sort of get a little bit of a gap, then it will be golden. Of course, if it stays under yellow for a long period of time, these guys are going to jump into the pit lane. Everybody else is going to need to pit as well. Because I didn't get any sort of figures for how long these guys were sort of lasting out there tonight. But sort of by normal figures, you'd imagine around about 100 laps, sort of if it's green, about 120 laps on green, they'll be able to go. So it'll be interesting to see when these guys decide to pit. But with all of this happening, it's let Matt Danson get back to 6th place. So Matt Danson has managed to climb his way back to 6th place, and he is on those fresh tyres. But sitting pretty at the moment is Ben Doherty with very fresh tyres on him. So the pace car will be going in. Dave Douglas there getting really aggressive, wanting to try and catch Micklemore out, trying to make sure he doesn't run away with it. But he can't start until the leader does. And we will be going green very soon, and green we do. And Dave Douglas has tried to catch on to the back of him. He's done a very good job there. But Danny G, just with those fresher tyres, is just able to just keep on the outside and try and drive around him. Obviously a real lack of grip there for Dave Douglas. He was really struggling to keep it in a straight line even. But they've all got it away cleanly. We hopefully will get a few green flag laps in now. And looks like Danny G has just got caught out on the outside as well. So Danny G there just getting caught out a little bit. Ben Doherty is having a good charge now. He's just beside Matt Danson. So Matt Danson already back to the top of the field. So these guys on fresh tyres are going to try and charge their way ahead of these guys on the older tyres. Now this could be a real bad spot for people like Dave Douglas and Josh Micklemore on these older tyres. If they let these guys on fresh tyres get past and start getting a lead on them, it could really cause them some trouble later on in the race, especially if we get some good green flag laps. So they're currently all calm, but it does look like Matt Danson's going to want to make a move on Dave Douglas anytime soon. He's really badgering him and just sticking to the back of that car like glue. And he's going to try and do it on the straight. Looks like he's gone down the inside here. So Matt Danson's going down the inside, pulling a really nice move. Matt Danson's got through and just left Dave Douglas in his dust. There's nothing Dave could do there, unfortunately. It's just as soon as that car got the inside line into the corner on those older tyres, he just could not do anything to keep that position safe. It looks like Danny G and Ben Doherty are both going to try the same trick. But now we're going to see how long it takes for Matt Danson to catch up to Josh Micklemore. Again, Josh Micklemore is on those tyres that have done 73 laps currently. So you have Matt Danson's on tyres that have only done 23 laps. So a big difference in tyre wear there. Those fresher tyres are really going to help. They're just going to be a bit stickier as you go out the corner, and they're just going to be a little bit easier to brake on as well. The wheel's not going to want to lock up quite as much on those new tyres. And you can already see just how much Matt Danson has gained on Micklemore here. He was just biting into the lead and really pulling up on the guy. Dave Douglas is doing a great job behind, and Matt Danson and Josh Micklemore are going to be loving Dave after this race if he keeps the rest of the pack behind him, because it's going to just mean these guys can just pull away. And of course Micklemore, he is on those older tyres, but he's been having fresh air for the whole race, which means the car's not been as wobbly. He's been able to keep it sort of in check for the whole race. But Danson is on such fresh tyres here, there's not really much that Micklemore's going to be able to do. He's going to have to try and keep on the inside line as much as he can. And Danson's trying for it, he's gone down, he's on the inside line. And this is it for Micklemore. If he can keep the lead, he's done a fantastic job. Really good racing here, Danson's still on the inside. But Matt Danson pulls off the move, and Micklemore is in second place. So, great job from Matt Danson there. those fresher tyres have really helped him out, and you can just see the amount of pace advantage he has over the rest of the field. With everybody stuck behind Dave Douglas, they can't use those newer tyres. Dave Douglas and Josh Micklemore are on tyres that have done almost 80 laps now, while these guys are on tyres that have done only 30 laps. And you can see that difference in tyre grip and rubber and pace. Jake Maloney down the inside of Douglas, and looks like Danny G is going to try the same thing as well. Maloney's pulled off the pass, and you're just going to see him pulling away as well. Oh, big moment there for Jake Maloney though. He almost lost it. He just managed to catch it mid-corner, mid-slide, but Danny G behind him actually just bit the wall a bit there. But a really good save from Jake Maloney there. He was just going through the corner, and you could just see the car was just wanting to step out. He managed to get it. He was turning right into a left-hand corner, which is something you never want to do. But he did it, and he managed to keep it straight, and that's the main thing. Danny G just having that little bite of the wall has just made him just ease off the pace a little bit, not too much though. On those guys on those older tyres, we still have Edward Foster in 7th position. He's currently fighting with Michael Skurlock, and he's still on those older tyres, and he has got that bit of damage, remember. So we'll see how he goes. Josh Micklemore is doing a great job to keep on sort of relative pace with Matt Danson, in all honesty here. He's not losing too much time. Now those tyres are not going to give you a huge amount of difference, but they're just going to help you just come off the corners a little bit better. And you can sort of see it in the actual pace of the cars. Matt Danson is around about 0.1, 0.2 of a second quicker than Josh Micklemore at the moment, and he's just pulling out that gap every single lap. He's just a quarter of a second, or even a sort of 0.1 of a second faster, but it keeps edging him out, and it just means he's going to get more and more lead on those people. Jake Maloney down there is starting to catch on Micklemore as well. Maloney's currently doing his best laps at the moment. He's setting times that are about a third of a second quicker than the leaders at the moment. So great job by Maloney. He's really pushing that car. And then down the back we still have Dave Douglas doing a really good job of keeping this car in front of Danny G and Ben Doherty. Really great job by Dave there. It's good to see him having a good run. Although I shouldn't really say that, because it's going to give him the curse of the commentator, I'm sure. But we do have Jake Maloney catching on Josh Micklemore now, really catching up to him. And you can see the advantage these fresh tyres have. If we do stay green, this could be a really bad decision for these guys who've stayed out on those old tyres, because they're just going to be losing pace. And if they have to make a pit stop under green, they're going to lose themselves a lap. But we have got a caution. It looks like actually it's Jason Martin. Jason Martin's had a big moment. We'll try and see what's actually happened there. So Jason Martin just going through the corner. He just got caught out by the number 9 there, by Roger Clark there. Just caught him just mid-corner for Jason Martin's, just spun him around. So a big moment for Jason Martin. And I imagine this is going to be the moment where people like Josh Micklemore come into the pits, and indeed they have. So everybody's jumped into the pit lane, and it's the right call to make. If you stayed out on the track now with those really old tyres, you really would have made a bad decision. So we'll see how these guys go on the pit lane. Josh Micklemore's made a big mistake though. He's really overshot his pit box, so that's a huge mistake for Micklemore. He's going to really be kicking himself for that one, and he's going to lose a lot of places as well. Matt Danson has had a good stop, along with Michael Skurlock and Josh Micklemore. Yeah, Josh Micklemore's dropped down to dropped quite a few places, so really not a good stop for him. He really did overshoot the box there, so a real shame for Josh Micklemore. He's really going to have to fight his way back up. We'll just see how everybody sits once the order just sorts itself out. Once all the cars have made their stops that they need to. But yeah, Micklemore's stop was he made a pig's ear of that one, unfortunately. He just overshot the box, and again, something else with Martinsville is the pit lane is very treacherous, and you have to be very careful because it's very easy to lock a brake in there. It's a problem that these drivers are going to have to face, and you just have to drive around it, unfortunately, and it's always just a very hard thing to do. So Matt Danson's got the lead. Michael Scurlock's got second. A fantastic pit stop for Scurlock there. Jake Maloney's in third. Dave Douglas in fourth. Danny G in fifth. And Edward Foster's in sixth. Riley Curtis has got his way up to seventh. Aaron Wilton in eighth. Josh Micklemore's all the way down in ninth now, with Kai Sloggett in 10th place. Kai Sloggett's car there just looking a bit worse for wear, in all honesty. It's not going to have its same resale value as it did at the start of the race. So, first time for Matt Danson to lead away the restart this night. So we'll see how he does. Of course, he's relative pro at it, but he's dropped the hammer. He's dropped the hammer very off Scurlock. Scurlock was really just caught napping there, so fantastic start for Matt Danson. Jake Maloney's got second as well, so great start for Jake Maloney. And it looks like everybody's got through the first couple of corners clean, which is always good. So everybody's going to be racing now. They're all on fresh tyres, of course, so everybody's going to be, the car is going to be feeling fantastic. Especially those guys that were out there on old tyres, their car's going to just feel so much more alive, so much more grippy, and it's something that can actually throw you off. When your car, when you pit obviously, and you get fresh tyres, sometimes the car is too sticky because you've been sort of driving the car around the problem of the tyres, basically causing you to get loose and having understeer. What happens when you get brand new tyres, of course, is you can then get oversteer. So you're going into the corner, it's just too grippy, you turn the wheel too much, because with the last, sort of 80 odd laps, you've been turning the wheel ever so slightly, and big crash out the back for Danny G. Danny G's just got a huge moment there. Real big shame for Danny G there. We'll just try and go back and see what happened to poor Danny G there. So, it just looks like he just came down a little bit and just caught the front of Dave Douglas's car. So, big moment for Danny G there. Luckily, nobody caught him in the rest of the pack. That could have been a huge crash otherwise. He was very lucky there not to get T-boned. So, some luck for him there. Not much, but some. So, real shame there. Danny G was having a fantastic night and really driven well to get himself back up into sort of the top 5. But yeah, what I was saying there is with the tyres, of course, when you've got that sort of fresh rubber on, when you're used to driving with old tyres, is you're turning the wheel a bit more every single lap, of course, and you don't really notice it as you're driving. It's just becomes second thought to you. However, when you actually do have that moment and you get those fresh tyres, you come out on the track, you put your foot down, turn your wheel to where you've been turning it for the last 10-20 laps, and all of a sudden that's too much of a turn and you overdrive it and you could just go straight into the corner and catch yourself out. So you have to sort of reset yourself, and that's one of the things all these drivers have to do. And it's one of the beautiful things about these sims, especially with iRacing, is you do get a lot of feel for the car through the force feedback of the steering wheel. And it's a very important thing to have. Without that, you would really struggle. So it makes a huge difference. So we'll just look through the order and see how people are going. So Jake Maloney's still doing a fantastic job. He's up into second now, so 21 spots for Jake Maloney. One of the biggest losers at the moment is Jason Martin. It's not very often we say Jason Martin's a bit of sort of a biggest loser, but he's down in 15th place at the moment, losing 13 positions. Norman Clark's having a good race up in 12th, making 10 positions, and Riley Curtis as well, up in 6th position. So again, we're going to be getting ready for the restart soon. The safety car, I imagine, will be turning off its lights after this pass of the checkered line. We still have 150 laps to go. let's hope we get some more green flag running. So the pace car's put out its lights, and this will mean that Matt Danson will be getting ready to go. Everybody will have seen his last restart, of course. So Jake Maloney's going to have to keep it in mind that Matt Danson's going to put his foot down as soon as that pace car goes in, as soon as he's got the chance to become the leader of the field. But what he might do is do it differently this time, because everybody sort of expects him to put his foot down. It's just playing mind games here. And his foot goes down, and he's got a good start, but Jake Maloney's managed to keep pace with him and just sort of keep that bottom line relatively sort of clean as well. So good restart there for Jake Maloney. Michael Skerlock as well. Dave Douglas got caught out a little bit there, and he's dropped down to 5th. But a very good start there again from Matt Danson. Of course, no person known for restarting, Matt Danson. He has had a few tries at it, and he's very good at it as well. He's used to leading the pack, Matt Danson. But we have got people like Jason Martin trying to claw his way up, and he is doing a great job of it. He's in 11th at the moment, so he's really managing to climb his way up the pack. Ben Doherty's having really good go at Riley Curtis, but of course these guys are all on relatively even tyres now. There's not a huge difference between the stint lengths of all these drivers. So hopefully we'll get some good running here. We've got some good racing sort of around about the sort of 6th to 7th place positions between Riley Curtis and Ben Doherty. They're definitely rubbing doors with each other, and that's what we like to see in stock car racing. Oh, big moment for Ben there, just overdriving the car a little bit. He just put his foot down a little bit too hard on the accelerator, and it has cost him a place. Riley Curtis has just managed to get in front of him and managed to make that move. He's just chopped down in front of Ben Doherty and made sure that sticks. But creeping up behind him is the purple car, the ever-present purple car that we see up front so often in these races, of Jason Martin. He's now in 9th place. He is really flying. Obviously he's feeling a bit annoyed about that earlier incident, and he's really trying to make the places up. Another guy that's flying through the pack is Danny G as well. He's really pushing it and making sure that he's sort of going to try and finish in the top 10 at least. He's really going for it. A long way to go still though. And did look like Kai Sloggett there just had a big moment, a big wiggle with the car. As I said, his car is looking very second hand now. The aero on that car is not going to be doing much help for him. But luckily on a short circuit like this, it's more about mechanical grip than it is about aerodynamical grip. So you're going to want to basically, it's not a huge issue if your car's a bit crumpled and a bit broken basically, which is a good thing, because it means we still have a lot of runners in the field. We've still got 19 drivers in the race. We've only lost 4 drivers so far, so that's a relatively good, it's an amazing amount considering the amount of cautions we've had. But the cautions have been small things, and these are things of just people just losing the back end of the car going through these corners, and it's so easy to do. Of course, these cars don't have the restrictor plate on for these short stages, these short races, so they'll be running the full 750 horsepower. So, as of last weekend, we had about 500 horsepower for the cars on those super speedways. This weekend, they've now got 750 horsepower, and that's a lot of horses under the bonnet. And when you're driving a car with that much horsepower, it's very difficult to get the car straight after turning, and it's something people don't expect, and it's a mistake people make if they get in a race car. Is they put their foot down and the car has just got too much power for them and they spin it around. You see it all the time, especially the people with very expensive sort of supercars and things like that. It's very easy to lose it when you're coming off of a corner, because the back end's going to sort of want to step out on you, so you really have to be with it and really have to be cautious of that. A lot of the cars on the road, of course, have things like traction control and things like that. Of course, with these race cars, you don't have those assistance things. You've not got traction control, you've not got the ABS to help you. You've just got to use your brain. You've just got to use your brain as the traction control and ABS, so it does make it a bit tricky. Self out a little bit now. Bit of a race to place with Matthew Cluett and Danny G. Danny G just trying to climb his way back up the field. But he's going to have a tricky time passing the cars in front of him, Roger Clark and Aaron Wilton. Sorry, Matthew Cluett and Roger Clark, sorry. Now there's a good race shaping up down in 6th and 7th place. I was going to say 6th, 7th and 8th place, but Ben Doherty just lost the car a little bit. He just let the car loose and it just ran up in the corner and lost him a bit of speed on the exit. And Jason Martin took advantage of that straight away. But Jason is closing on the back of Edward Foster, who's had a great recovery from the earlier spin. So good job by these guys. Fantastic work by Jason and Edward to get back up in the field from where they were. Luckily enough, they didn't have much of an issue when they had their moments and they sort of got little offs. So it's just managed to sort of let them climb back up the field. Now in front of them they have Dave Douglas, who does have a bit of damage to the car, but he's still going around at a relatively good pace. But speeding away in front of him is Michael Skurlock, Josh Micklemore, Jake Maloney and Matt Danson. Matt Danson's actually managed to pull out a relatively good lead. He's just over half a second ahead of Maloney. And then they're about 2.5 seconds ahead of Micklemore. Now Micklemore's sort of climbing his way back up there, trying to get back to his spot at the front of the pack. He's done a very good recovery drive from that earlier horror of a pit stop. But luckily, again, on these small ovals, these short tracks, you're not as penalised as you would be on a larger track. On a super speedway, he may have had a lot more trouble getting up the pack. What we might... Oh, and there is an off behind with Kai Sloggett. Kai Sloggett's had a big moment and has lost the front end, ripped the whole front end off of that car. As you can now see the radiator and engine on that car, so not a good place to be. He's going to have to definitely pull that in and get some bits repaired on that vehicle. But that has brought out the caution flag again, and with this caution, people are going to have to start thinking about pitting again. Now, we're 128 laps of 250 now, so we're over half distance. Everybody's been out for about a 40-lap stint on these tyres, so is everybody going to come into the pit lane? And Matt Danson has. So Matt Danson has pitted with Jake Maloney. We'll see if anybody stays out, but it looks like everybody's coming in. It does not look like anyone's throwing the dice. actually, scrap that. It may look like Danny G is going to stay out. Danny G on tyres that are only 30 laps old has stayed out. So Danny G of the Mitch Motorsport boys has managed to stay out, and let's see if this pays off for him. So Micklemore has a much better pit stop this time, but Matt Danson has got out first, with Josh Micklemore just behind him. Really good stop there for Micklemore. Fantastic job there. Skurlock just behind him. We'll wait for everybody just to start figuring out their positions, but that was a fantastic stop by Josh Micklemore. He must have had a fantastic just braking and just leaving the pit lane, because his pit stop was actually not that good. His pit stop time was a 14.12, whereas Matt Danson's was a 13.4, and we saw how close he got to that Matt Danson. So Josh Micklemore must have had a fantastic stop there. He must have really hit his marks perfectly to get that pit stop time. Really good job there for Micklemore. Another guy that's made good on those pit stops is Riley Curtis. Riley Curtis has actually got up into fourth spot, so really good job for Riley there. So Riley Curtis, it looked like he might have only just taken one set of tyres, and we're going to be going back to green very shortly. They're all getting back into their positions. Everybody again on fresh tyres. Did look like Danny G did pit after everybody else. He was a lap down, so he has pitted. But Matt Danson has just caught the pack sleeping, and he has just pulled away. Fantastic restart there from Matt Danson. Now we have a bit of a moment. Edward Foster's just had a big moment down at the back of the field, midfield, sorry. He's just gone from about 5th to 8th in one corner. Really bad moment for him. He's just been caught on the outside of the track. And now he's fighting with Ben Doherty. He's going to try his best to get around Ben Doherty, but he's going to struggle on the outside. And he's got to make sure that he doesn't get the car of Aaron Wilton coming down the inside of him. So he's going to really have to fight hard to get that position back. So didn't see what caused the moment there for Foster, but he did get pushed out a little bit by the looks of things, and that's cost him a few positions. But they are fighting tooth and nail behind him. We've got people like Kai Sloggett and Danny G at the back there. Kai Sloggett's car is looking even more second-hand than it did before. It's looking more fourth-hand. Missing the whole front section of the car now. So that's really going to help his engine cooling, so he's not going to have to worry about cooling for a while. But that's not going to be much help to his aerodynamics. And Jason Martin's climbing his way back up. He's just behind Dave Douglas now. Dave Douglas, a guy that has been in, it seems like he's been in 4th place for eternity. He's having a fantastic drive tonight. Just managing to keep that car in the top 5 pretty much all night long. Really good job for him. But Matt Danson is pulling out a great lead at the front. Fantastic drive by Matt. And just passing the car there of Phil Otto. Phil Otto a few laps down now. He's 2 laps down on the field, but he's still out there, and that's the thing. You've got to be out there to get points. Now a lot of these people are going to just trying to get as many points as possible. We didn't have a huge turnout this evening. You know, we've had 40 car turnouts before. This evening we only had a 23 car turnout, so it means that people are going to be higher up the order. People going out of the race means that you're going to get more points. So this could be a really good points haul for some of those drivers that don't finish sort of in the top 20 often. So it could be a really good night for them, just getting a few extra points for the evening. And everybody seems reasonably settled out at the moment, but Aaron Wilton is just trying to make a move on Riley Curtis as we speak. Riley Curtis has dropped a few places, I believe. Oh, and a big moment. Aaron Wilton has just gone round, and it looks like Kai Sloggett was involved in that one again. No, sorry, not Kai Sloggett, sorry. Roger Clark, sorry about that. Roger Clark and Aaron Wilton just had a huge moment there, a huge coming together, and big shame there. So that's brought out another caution, and we may see some people try and take advantage of this and try and come in for a stop, see if they can make the pits and see if they can just get some fresh tyres and maybe make some places. We are almost 100 laps to go. Now the longest stint we've seen so far tonight was about 70 laps. So somebody might roll the dice here and go into the pits, get some fresh tyres, because people may need to make one more stop this evening. We'll see how that goes. So just looking down the field at the moment, a few cars have elected to come in. So Danny G is one of them, and he's coming out, so it looks like he's elected to just get some repairs done on that car and get some fresh boots on there as well. So he's going to be on fresh rubber now for the restart and for the next few laps. If we get a good green period like we did before, he could be sitting pretty to try and gain some places up. We're currently on our 11th caution with 49 caution laps, so the pace car is having a good lead at the moment. Pace car's doing a good job. It's going to score some good points tonight by the looks of things. And Matt Danson there just playing around a little bit with the physics of iRacing, trying to become the pace car. You've got to do something when you're when it keeps coming out, something to keep you interested, keep the mind sharp. So the pace car will be coming in very shortly. And we'll see these guys going green again soon. So a few of these guys have elected to come in again and just get some repairs done on the car, just under these caution periods, just to try and keep themselves on the sort of lead lap, which is always a good idea. Now the pace car's lights are out, so again Dancer becomes the lead car. Will he go off early? Will we see him try and do the same thing he's done before? And he's put his foot down now, and he has caught many off guard, but a really good start there. Josh Micklemore was not getting caught out by that one again. He has managed to keep on the back of Matt Downson, and he's going to try and hunt him down now. He wants his first place back, of course. So we've got a few cars out there which are looking very, very scruffy. But we have got some very fast cars towards the back end of this pack that are on very good, clean tyres, and they might start climbing their way up there. We'll have to keep an eye out on that. But out front we have Matt Danson. And oh, Josh Micklemore has a big moment there. He managed to catch it. What a fantastic catch by Micklemore. Great job catching that car. It looks like it was going into the walls for sure. Fantastic job there for Micklemore, but he's ended up just behind Ben Doherty. And this has allowed Jason Martin to get back into second. Yes, Jason Martin has managed to claw his way back up the field. from his earlier mishaps. A really good hit job here for Jason Martin. So he is currently the lead Mitch Motorsport car, and he is in second place. So Matt Danson there is going to try and keep an eye on Jason Martin for sure. Now down towards the back of the grid, we have got a few people really trying to get back to where their previous positions were. And oh, we've got a moment. Nope. We've got a big moment there. Roger Clark has just gone deep into the wall, and we've got another caution there. Try and figure out what happened there for you guys. See if we can catch that one. So I'll just turn back and have a look, see what happened there. So he's just caught himself on the yellow tarmac. It's slowed himself down quite a lot, and that's just ended up with Danny G going into the back of him. Roger Clark there just catching the infield, and that's a real big problem for this track. You'll just know. And it did look like Aaron Wilson was just sort of slowing down, checking him up a bit, and yeah, and that's just caught them all up into a bit of a moment. So a real shame there. So it looks like, yeah, so Wilson just got a bit sideways there and just caught everyone else out. And it's so easy to do, as I've said before, it's so easy to go sideways here on this track. We saw it just before with Josh Mickelmore. Went sideways, caught him out. So a couple of cars are just jumping into the pit lane. Maloney and Danny G. And Danny G did take a big hit to the front end of his car as well, so he might be in need of some repairs. So 95 laps to go. Hopefully we'll have a few less cautions for this next stint. It would be nice. But with Matt Danson in the lead, it looks like it's going to be a hard job for Jason Martin to get back to that front place. He's going to really have to try hard and really dig deep to get past Danson, who has been having a fantastic drive all evening. So again, the caution flag is out. The pace car will be sort of coming in very soon. Next lap, the caution, the pace car's lights should go out, and these guys should be looking at coming in, starting back up again very, very soon. Now we have lots of people still on the lead lap, and then again, that's one of the things with these short ovals is, an incident isn't going to cost you the race. It's not going to be a terrible thing. You're going to be able to keep going still. You're going to be able to keep around on the track, and it's going to sort of mean that you can basically sort of, it's almost like a sort of save. You basically you don't lose as much time as you would on a normal track, so to say. Especially when the pace car's out, because it takes a long time for these cars to go around under the pace car. So the green flag will be out soon, and Danson's going to be going green, and away he does. Foot to the floor. Yep. So we've got, and a big crash again just at the back, and oh, this was a huge one. Foster involved in this one with the MFR guys. We'll go back and have a look, see what happened there. A huge crash though from the restart. A real big shame there. And it just looks like Foster just taps the side of the number 16, and that's led to a huge pile up in the midfield. So just going through the corner, the 16 had the inside. Foster was free wide with Dave Douglas. Not really much he could do. Sorry, yes, it would have been Dave Douglas, I think. Not much he could do there. He was pretty much caught in the middle of three cars going round the first corner. Sorry, the second corner, and really nothing he could do there. And he's just got caught in the middle of that. A real big shame there for Foster. And Kai Sloggett was involved in that, and it looks like he's taken the car behind the wall. So a real big shame there, especially for Foster there, because he was having a good run. He was fairly on pace all evening there, but he has had a big moment there, and that's really going to cost him some time. Quite a lot of damage to that car. He got really caught out badly there by the number 16. Nothing the number 16 could do there though. Norman Clark, he was sort of stuck in a free wide sandwich there between all of them, and really in that position there's not much you can do. He just it was just the tiniest of taps that sent Edward round. And again, as I said, it's so easy to do on this circuit, so easy to do on this concrete surface. So we'll rejoin up in first place with Matt Danson. And everybody looks to have stayed out. Now everybody should be able to get to the end, I believe, from our last stop. They might be pushing it a little bit on tyre life, but we'll see how that goes. Everybody's on the same sort of stint time as everybody else. We do have a little bit of change once we get to Stephen Williams down in 9th place, but everybody from 1st to 8th is on a 35 lap stint. Then Stephen Williams and Roger Clark are on 10 lap stints. So we'll see how that plays out. So away we go again. We're back to life. Matt Danson again just catching the field, sort of almost napping. Just pulls out a fantastic lead from the rest of them. And it causes a sort of... It causes a ripple effect in the mid-pack as everybody closes up. And can cause sort of a bit of a problem sometimes, because of course everybody's starting to try and go fast, and then you get to the cars in front of you who are still a little bit slower, and everybody just pluses up the track. But Matt Danson is happily in the lead, and he's pulled almost a second out from Jason Martin. What a brilliant restart there. Matt Danson is really nailing them restarts tonight. And we've got a bit of fighting down. Jake Maloney's actually making his way up the field as Dave Douglas falls down the field a little bit. But the main reason Jake Maloney is starting to catch up the field is because he is on very fresh tyres. Jake Maloney's on tyres that are about 30 laps younger than everybody else. And, oh, we've got another moment. We've got big moment, and it looks like we've managed to keep green. Riley Curtis and Matthew Cluett there. Matthew Cluett has actually gone off slightly, and it's gone into the back of Riley Curtis and pushed him into the barrels at the end of the pit lane, and it looks like Riley Curtis is actually stuck there. A real big shame for Riley Curtis. He was having a good run this evening, but it has kept the race has kept green. So some miracle has happened, and that has kept the race green. but Riley Curtis is going to have to use the tow truck to get back to the pit lane on that one, because he got sort of real caught out and stuck into the exit of the pit lane, the entrance into the old pit lane. Now there used to be 2 pit lanes here, basically, one on either side sort of the track, a little bit like Dover. But what's happened is Riley Curtis got stuck in the wall in that section and sort of got T-boned and pushed in there, unfortunately, and that's really just ruined his race. What a big shame for Riley Curtis there. But that does mean we're still green at the front, and it does mean that people are starting to feel the pressure from those people on those newer tyres. Jake Maloney is catching Ben Doherty, people like that, and we have got a caution. We'll try and spot what happened there. See if we can figure out what that caution was. And it looks like it was Roger Clark spinning, so car spinning on track, so big moment there. But this is meaning the leaders are all coming into the pits now. Now the big question is Jake Maloney, and Jake Maloney has stayed out on track. Those tyres are now 15 laps old, but he's going to start getting some positions. Jason Martin has stayed out on track. Josh Micklemore has stayed out on track. Ben Doherty stayed out on track as well. So again, we're seeing those guys that were on those sort of alternate stints have stayed out on the track, and they're going to try for track position and try and get the car to a point where they can get it home. So obviously these drivers are not feeling super confident that they're going to get more than sort of 60, 70 laps out of these tyres, because we're on 177 of 250, so we have 70 laps to go pretty much. So it looks like people are sort of questioning whether they can do a 70 lap stint on these tyres, so they're going to try and stay out as long as they can, and I imagine sort of they'll come into the pits within sort of the next 10 laps if there's a caution. But they're going to try and stay out as long as they can, and then use that caution to pit and try and make some positions up, because the people that pit now may have to make one more stop as well, and if they have to stop with the other guys, it's going to throw them out of sync. So stopping for tyres first was Matt Danson, and it's only dropped him down to 7th. As you can see here, the field is dropping. We've got 13 cars on the lead lap, so it's not too bad, but a lot of those guys pitted, so everybody down from Matt Danson in 7th has pitted, and Matt Danson is on nice fresh sticky tyres. Jake Maloney is also on a lot fresher tyres than the rest of those front runners. Jake Maloney could be looking good here, so we'll keep an eye on him. But they'll be coming round, getting ready again for the pace car to come in. Now the lights are out, so they're going to be getting ready to go green very shortly. And this time Jason Martin pulls the trigger, and he will have coordinated that with his teammate, I'm sure. Josh Micklemore gets a great restart there, but Ben Doherty does catch him. Josh Micklemore has got high on the outside, and that's like a lot of cars get through. You can see how a small mistake here is going to cost you a lot of time. Josh Micklemore is dropping right back, and he's actually dropped back to Matt Danson. So he's dropped all the way down to Matt Danson. So all of those positions that he had by staying out on those old tyres, he has lost now. So a real big mistake there from Micklemore. And it looks like we've got a bit of a moment at the back. We've managed to keep green, but it did look like maybe Aaron Wilton got into the back of Foster, and they've all basically slowed down at the back there because there was a big traffic jam. Nobody crashed, but they all had to slow down and just ease off the pedal a little bit so they didn't crash. Good situational awareness there by everybody, and good to see that they've managed to keep it green. But now Jake Maloney is the guy that's starting to catch, and he is catching quickly. Jake Maloney has got some serious pace on that car. Just looking at the timing screens, Jake Maloney is almost a second, almost a 0.3 of a second faster than the cars around him. So that extra life on those tyres is really paying off for him now, and it could pay off towards the end of the race. We could see Jake Maloney trying to go for the rest of the race on those tyres. I very much doubt it, but he might try it. But just behind Maloney is Matt Danson. Matt Danson is on a charge. He is really flying up the field. And of course he has much fresher tyres. He's on those nice sticky new tyres. He'll have had them up to temperature now, and he is all over the back of Jake Maloney. And he's just got the inside, and he's... oh, fantastic move there by Jake Maloney. He just cut Danson off and pushed his way down, and he's going to do the move that Danson was trying to do to him on Ben Doherty. So Ben Doherty didn't have quite the same ability just to sort of block him off there, but Ben Doherty's going to try and keep himself clean, and he's got Matt Danson fighting with him now. Jake Maloney has managed to get up to second. Ben Doherty just having a bit of a moment there, just catching the wall by the looks of things, and he's had to back out the throttle there. He's just got caught on the outside of that corner, and he's lost a lot of time, and falling into the grips of people like Dave Douglas, who again is on much fresher tyres. Now Ben Doherty is on those older tyres, remember, which have done almost 60 laps. Same to Jason Martin. But Ben Doherty got a bit unfortunate there. He got caught on that high line, and that high line has very little grip, and it's dropped him down quite quickly. All it takes is one small mistake here, and this is the reason why I do enjoy this track, because it is very much a circuit where you have to really back up your talking, because it is a very hard track to drive on. Jake Maloney and Matt Danson, as well as Michael Skerlock, have all caught up to Jason Martin in such quick pace. They are setting times so much faster than him, or were at least until they caught him. The big saying goes, catching is one thing, passing is another. And you see there Matt Danson just getting down on the inside and just caught the yellow curb, and that's lost him a lot of time. He's just going to fall back into the grips of Skerlock now. That yellow curb is such a dangerous area to be on. You want to be on the inside line for these turns, but you don't want to go too deep, because you can just see that yellow curb there. It is as slippery as an otter's pocket, and it's very hard to sort of get off once you get on it. You lose so much pace once you touch it. Just that yellow painted line, it's amazing how slippery it is. If you ever get a chance to drive a car around here, or in a sim race around here, just touch that yellow line in a sim race only, and you'll see how slippery it is. Jason Martin's doing a fantastic job, as well as Jake Maloney keeping on the inside. He's just got a little bit of drive on the exit of that corner, and Jake Maloney's going to really punish him for it. Now, Jake Maloney's going to be able to keep on the outside here and keep pace with Jason Martin, because he's on those fresher tyres. And this has cost Jason Martin so much. He's just fallen back behind Danson now. Danson's going to have the drive off the corner and fly past Martin. Almost looks like Martin has just lifted off the accelerator there because of the pace difference. And that's simply because of those fresher tyres. And we've got another caution out. And it looks like it could have been Mirko Dortnak and Daniel Stevens. We'll just go back and have a quick look at that one. Yeah, so a big moment there for Mirko Dortnak, Daniel Stevens and Norman Clark, I believe. So a couple of the MFR guys with Mirko Dortnak, the winner from last weekend. He's not having the same luck this weekend for sure. So a shame there for those guys. Jason Martin has pitted, So the guys on those older tyres have all come in for their pit stops now. So we've got people like Jason Martin, Edward Foster, Josh Micklemore, Stephen Williams and Danny G all coming in for their pit stops now. And now it's going to be the same story, but just written a little bit differently. Great job by Jake Maloney. Jake Maloney had a fantastic pit stop there. Jason Martin has managed to have a decent pit stop as well. And Josh Micklemore has got out behind Jason Martin, with Ben Doherty and Edward Foster following. So some good pit stops there, and that's what they wanted. Now those guys are on very fresh tyres, so they're going to start catching these guys in front of them that are on tyres that are 22 laps old now. And they definitely don't need to stop now. All of those guys that stopped can now go to the end of the race without any trouble. There's only 52 laps to go, so they can make it on those tyres. The rest of this front pack are gambling now. Will they be able to run on those tyres for the whole race? Of course, there's also the happening of cautions coming out. How many cautions are there going to be? Because we could see somebody pitting for tyres with around about 10 to 15 laps to go, and having those fresh tyres and trying to carve their way through the field, trying to make a big gamble. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there, interesting to see if anybody does gamble like that. But for this moment, we'll see what happens. So we've got the top 4 cars on tyres that are now 24 laps old, and we'll see if that really affects them, because those guys on fresh tyres are very close to them. This could have been a big mistake by people like Matt Danson, Skurlock and Dave Douglas, but we'll only find out in time. So the pace car should be going in very shortly, and we'll have Matt Danson doing his signature start, no doubt, of just putting a foot to the floor, and he does. And looks like everybody's pretty much there. Dave Douglas had a bit of a moment coming off the corner. He just lost traction by the looks of it, and Jake Maloney's taken advantage of that. Jake Maloney's just to the side of Dave Douglas now, and he just pulls straight ahead of him. You can just see the difference those tyres make. So Jake Maloney is really charging up, and down underneath Skurlock he goes, and we've got a bit of a moment behind him with Ben Doherty and I think Stephen Williams, if my eyes were correct, but it's still green, and that's all that matters. So Jake Maloney is just charging his way up now, and he's really got to do his best to get past Matt Danson. He doesn't want to be in the dirty air. He doesn't want to be in a position where he's going to start losing tyre life. He wants to be in front and leading the pace, not following the pace. We'll see how he does here. Jake Maloney is just down on the inside, and he's trying for it. He's going to make a big dive, and there's nothing Danson can do. Jake Maloney has just got so much more grip than him. He's down on the inside, and he's going to keep there, but Danson is doing a great job of holding it, but there's not anything he can do. Jake Maloney has just done a fantastic job. Got him through into first place. A really good job by him, and he is on those fresh tyres, remember. He's only had 8 laps on these tyres. Matt Danson's had 28 laps on these tyres. You can see the difference these tyres have made. So the people that stopped on that last stint could be geniuses. It could all go pear-shaped. We'll see how it goes. Another caution in the next 10 to 15 laps. If it comes out, people like Matt Danson are likely to pit and get on those fresh tyres and have a pace advantage, but we'll only find out in time. But right now, Jake Maloney leads. And so far we've had 11 lead changes, but I think it's mainly been between Matt Danson, Josh Micklemore and Jason Martin, but now Jake Maloney can add his name to the list. But great job there for Maloney. He's really pulling out a nice lead now. And it does look like possibly Dave Douglas has had a connection issue and may be out of this race, which is a real big shame for Dave Douglas because he's been having a great race so far. But Matt Danson has now got a fresh-tired Josh Micklemore on his rear, and this is going to be a hard one to keep behind him. He's going to try his best to keep Josh Micklemore behind him, but will he be able to? It's just a question of how good he is on those tyres, how fresh those tyres are. We've still got some battles going on down the back of the pack as well. Stephen Williams is catching Ben Doherty at the moment, a great rate of knots. So, good job for him. These guys are all on fresh tyres as well, and they're all catching Michael Skurlock as well, who's on those older tyres. So, we'll see how it goes with those, but for the moment, we'll just follow Jake Maloney and give him some airtime out on front. A really good drive tonight by Jake Maloney. He's just acing this track, and he's been there and thereabouts all night. Behind them, though, we have Matt Danson with Josh Micklemore right behind him. And what we might do is just go on board with Josh Micklemore. Just jump on board and see how he goes through this. And watch him on board as he's chasing down Matt Danson. If we can. And it looks like, actually, that Micklemore might have just had a bit of a tap with the barriers just then. But you can see just how tricky it is following these cars. It is just that thing of trying to keep your steering just right. And if you watch the steering wheel of this driver, you can see that he's just having to make small changes every way through the track, all the way through the corners. It's just a little turn here, a little turn there, but try to keep it straight as he can. And it's a very hard job to keep this car straight, even though it's on such fresh tyres. And we've got another caution out. And we'll see if we can find out what happened there. I can't really see what happened there. Somebody must have had a bit of a big wiggle and just sort of lost it slightly. But now we're going to see a few people popping into the pits to grab some fresh rubber. All of those guys on old tyres are going to come in, and some people on those sort of slightly older tyres are going to take the risk. So we've got Jake Maloney, Jason Martin and Ben Doherty all stayed out. Matt Danson has pitted. So this is the caution that all of these guys were waiting for. Everybody on those older tyres were waiting for this caution to come and waiting to use us for their advantage. And Edward Foster has had a fantastic pit stop. Must have only taken a couple of tyres in that pit stop. Because he's led everyone out. So brilliant job there by Edward Foster. He has just got in front of everybody. Maybe he only took 2 tyres or something like that. Must be the case, because he was running quite far behind Matt Danson. And Matt Danson did not have a slow stop. Unfortunately, I cannot see the pit stop times for Foster. I'm not getting them coming up for me, unfortunately. But that would have been one heck of a stop from him. And we'll see if it pays off. We'll see how it goes. Because if he stopped for only 2 tyres, he might have a bit of trouble getting the cars through, but it might be just a stroke of genius for him. We saw strategy pay off last weekend for the drivers, especially Mirko Dordenak. It really paid off for him. Will it pay off this time for Edward Foster? We'll only find out in this race. So they're all coming through. Jake Maloney leads. So Jake Maloney is in the lead with Jason Martin to the side of him. And the pace car will be coming in and will be dropping the green flag very soon. So Jake Maloney, this will be, I think, his first time leading the pack tonight for the restart. We'll see how he goes. Jason Martin just behind him, a very good restarter, but Jake Maloney just puts his foot to the floor, goes down on the inside and really just gets great drive out of that first corner. What a brilliant start for Jake Maloney there. Fantastic job. And meanwhile, we've got Edward Foster charging up, trying to get through on Michael Skurlock. We'll keep an eye on Foster. Ben Doherty's in second, and he has got Jason Martin on the outside of him. And looks like Matt Danson's thinking about going 3 wide through the corner, and we know that's not going to work, and it doesn't. He taps Ben Doherty, but Ben Doherty does a beautiful job of keeping that car straight. What a fantastic job for Ben Doherty there. An absolute clap of the hands for that guy. Brilliant job of keeping the car straight. He got a bit of a tap from Matt Danson there, passing him. But what a fantastic job from Jake Maloney, sorry, for Ben Doherty, sorry, to keep that car on the road. A brilliant save there, because that looked like it was going to be a crash. Now Jake Maloney has a fast charging Matt Danson to deal with. And we will see how he goes. The rest of the cars that stopped are all sort of packed up down behind Ben Doherty now, so there's a big pack forming. Edward Foster is one of them, down in 7th place. He seems to have some pace though, so it'd be interesting to find out if he did just change the 2 tyres and how much that's affected him, because his lap times are not that much faster than everybody else. He's actually probably a little bit slower than some of the others that all took tyres as well. So Edward Foster might have made a bit of a bad call there, going for just 2 tyres rather than all 4, because he is dropping down the order now at a pretty decent pace. We've got Jason Martin and Josh Micklemore together in 3rd and 4th, with Michael Skurlock in 5th place with a very beaten up looking car. Ben Doherty with one of the saves of the night, down in 6th place. Aaron Wilton and Danny G in 7th and 8th. Then Edward Foster in 9th, with Stephen Williams behind him. And there's a fast charging MFR car coming up through the field as well, who's one of the cars that's a lap down, of course. But the big losers are the front, and Matt Danson is going down to the inside, trying to get through Jake Maloney, but he says no, slams the door shut. Now Jake Maloney has to do his best to keep the car on the inside now, because that is where the fastest line is. He's going to have to try and keep Matt Danson going down to the inside, try and keep him to a position where he's going to have to really make it very hard for him to pass, block him off as much as he can. Jake Maloney's doing a fantastic job so far, but there's only so much you can do. It's very hard when you're in a position like this, fighting it out. And it did look like Jake Maloney just had a quick touch with the wall there, just a slight tap of the wall there on his right hand side. Nothing much, but it still just can shake you up as a driver and just put you off, take your attention away from that car behind you. And this could be what Matt Danson's looking for, is just trying to throw him off, and he's done it. Matt Danson has got the inside line, and Matt Danson's going to get through, but Jake Maloney says no, he's going to try his best to stop him, but there's not much he can do to Matt Danson on much fresher tyres. Great job for Jake Maloney there. He did a really good job to try and keep Matt Danson behind him as long as he did, and he's still fighting. He's trying to get the inside line now, but he's going to have a real hard time to just get the drive off the corners, and that's where these fresh tyres are going to excel, is just drive off the fresh tyres. Jake Maloney looks like he's got much better braking through the corners. He definitely looks more comfortable on the brakes than Matt Danson, but Danson's got the drive, and that's what matters. So Matt Danson leads the race on lap 233 out of 250. Now looking back towards the pack, Edward Foster has dropped down to 10th place now. So it looks like his gamble's not paid off. We've got some fast chargers coming through, people like Danny G chasing down Ben Doherty, who's on those slightly older tyres as well. Michael Skurlock is trying to chase down Jason Martin now as well. We'll see how that battle unfolds. But for the lead, Matt Danson is comfortably in first place now, and he looks like he's going to be there for a while. So one of the big battles is sort of currently happening with some of the lapped cars who are trying their best not to go a lap down. And oh, there's a big slide for one of the MFR cars, and we're going to have a caution for that. It looks like Roger Clark has just absolutely lost it going through the corner. Not a surprise with the amount of damage on his car. He's doing well to keep it in a straight line, but he's just lost the rear end going through that corner, and it's really cost him. Now, will anybody take a chance, pit for some fresh tyres now? And yes, it looks like most people are. Jason Martin has stayed out on track, and that could be a big mistake for Jason Martin. He's on tyres that are 40 laps old now. So, Matt Danson has pitted, Jake Maloney has pitted, Josh Micklemore has pitted, and trying to spot, I think Michael Skurlock has pitted. Everybody else has stayed out on track though. So we will see how this unfolds, because they're going to lose quite a few positions now, and they have to fight their way up through the field. Will they be able to do that? Now, it's a big risk because there's only 22 laps to go, so they haven't got much time to recover those places. Interesting decision though, because those guys were on much fresher tyres than some of the guys out there who stayed out. So it will be a really interesting, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Now, this track only being half a mile long means that, you know, 20 laps are going to go through very quickly. So a couple of cautions are really going to throw the spanner in the works. These guys are going to be hoping that we go green for the rest of the race and that they can catch up some positions. Because if not, they're going to lose out on a lot of places, especially people like Matt Danson and Jake Maloney, who are now down in 8th and 10th place, with Michael Skurlock in 9th. So it'll be interesting to see their charge through the field. But will they make it? That's the big question. And remember, these guys in front of them are on much older tyres. Probably the best placed person is actually Danny G, a guy we haven't spoken too much about this evening, and Aaron Wilton. Aaron Wilton, Stephen Williams and Danny G are all on tyres that are about 20 laps fresher than the guys in front of them. Then we have Edward Foster in 6th and Phil Otto in 7th, who are all on those slightly older tyres. Ben Doherty and Jason Martin on tyres that are now 44 laps old. So it's going to be interesting to see, because there's not going to be many green flag laps actually. Sorry, my maths was slightly off there. We've only got 9 laps to go. So this is going to be really interesting to see what happens now. So the pace cars come in. Jason Martin's going to lead them away. He'll drop the hammer. Any second now, he's going to go, and away he goes. Green flag. Puts his foot to the floor. Ben Doherty has a big moment trying to keep it straight, and that means Danny G just slides straight through and gets there nice and quickly. But the guys like Matt Danson and crew are still quite close. They're only in 5th place, so they're not far behind. Matt Danson is charging up the field already. He just taps the yellow infield and just gets a tap by Jake Maloney behind. But he's up to 5th now, and he's going down the inside of Stephen Williams. He's just touching that yellow line. He is really charging hard. He does not want to lose this motor race. Ben Doherty is really trying his best to cover off Matt Danson and keep Stephen Williams on the outside there. Great job for Ben Doherty there, keeping Matt Danson behind him. But Matt Danson is just coming through. He's just saying, no, I'm coming through. I don't care what you're doing. Matt Danson there with an authority move. And oh, we've got a big moment, and somebody just... And around the game, Matt Danson has had a big moment. And that is going to take us to the end of the race. And it's a real shame that there was a big moment there. Matt Danson just is playing a sort of ping pong with himself in between the cars there. maybe a little bit too zealous, and a bit of a wreck happened. So I'll just try and go back and have a look at that one. So Matt Danson gets sideways, Ben Doherty slows down, checks up behind him. Michael Skurlock is the big loser there. He gets smashed straight into the side of the barriers, and that's letting him through. Matt Danson has managed to stay in 9th place. Ben Doherty spun around on the front straight and had Norman Clark going to the front of him. So Ben Doherty is the biggest loser there. A real shame for Ben Doherty, who's had a fantastic evening all night long. He's dropped down to 10th place. Matt Danson in 9th place. So it's going to be Jason Martin coming across for the win. Now, we might get 1 or 2 more laps under green, because the pace car will be in a lap or 2. So we're probably going to get 1 or 2 laps under green flag. So it will be interesting to see how this goes, because there are some people that are very, very racy, not too far behind these guys. Jason Martin's on tyres that are 50 laps old now. Danny G's on tyres that are 30 laps old. And then Jake Maloney has managed to make his way up to 3rd place on those nice fresh tyres. Fantastic job by him. Stephen Williams is there in 4th place, again on some tyres that are about 30 laps old now. Then Josh Micklemore is behind him on nice fresh tyres. Aaron Wilton's on 30 lap old tyres, with Edward Foster on 30 lap old tyres. Then we have Phil Otto, again on 30 lap old tyres, with Matt Danson in 9th. So we'll see how he goes. I don't think Ben Doherty's going to do much with the amount of damage he has on his car now. But we'll see how it goes. The lights should go off the safety car on this next lap around. So we should have 2 laps of green flag racing, hopefully. And hopefully it will stay green for those 2 laps. What a race we've had here tonight. So that was our 18th caution. So 18 cautions tonight, with 84 laps under caution, 85 laps now under caution. The pace car has kept out another lap. But what a race we've had here. There's been some fantastic, furious action while we've been between pace car sections. Unfortunately, on these short tracks, much like Dover, there can be lots of accidents, unfortunately. These half-mile tracks are very tricky and very tricky to drive in these new Cup cars. They are not easy machines to muscle around a circuit. You're not going to easily do it. So the pace car is lights out, so we're going to have a 2-lap mad dash. So this is going to be interesting, guys. Strap yourself in. Get ready for a crazy finish. Anybody could win at this moment. Who knows? But Jason Martin is the one that's going to want to win. We're on the last lap. Jason Martin is going to go green. And we're finished. Oh my. That was a chaotic race. So in our order, well, just trying to figure out our order now. So Jake Maloney got the pip. He looks like Jake Maloney managed to just get through on that on the finish line for the green flag. Was that under caution? I'm just trying to figure out what. So we've got the green flag lap, and Jake Maloney has managed to get through. What a brilliant win there for Jake Maloney. He got through just on the outside of Jason Martin on that restart. And that last lap, he just got through. Those fresher tyres paid off dividends for him. What a fantastic win there for Jake Maloney. Sorry, there was a bit of confusion at the end there. I was trying to figure out what happened just towards the end. But what a brilliant win for Jake Maloney. Driven well all night. Fantastic job. So we'll just run through the finishing order there. Sorry about that. So Jake Maloney there with 22 places gained over that race. What a brilliant win. And Jake Maloney's first win in the Cup Series. So Jake Maloney finishes in first, with Jason Martin second. Josh Micklemore grabbed third place, with Danny G in fourth. Danny G having a fantastic drive there. He had a few incidents, unfortunately, but he got there at the end. Stephen Williams in fifth place. Aaron Wilton in sixth. Great drive again from Aaron Wilton. Edward Foster managed seventh, with Phil Otto in eighth place. Great drive by Phil, managing to make up 8 places. Then Ben Doherty got ninth place, with Norman Clark finishing in 10th. Gains 12 places in the end. What a brilliant drive for Norman Clark. Ben Doherty as well. All the drivers in the top 10. What a fantastic job they did. And that is really going to shake up the championship a little. But of course, they do have the option for the drop round, these guys. So what we'll do is we'll just take a moment to breathe. And we'll just have a look, see who's in our green room. And what we'll do is we'll just grab Jason Martin through and have a quick chat to him, our second place finisher. Jason Martin, Carl Withy here from Performance E Streaming. How are you going?
Oh, I'm absolutely stuffed. That was hard work.
It looks like it. Yeah, tell us about your race, mate.
I had a bit of trouble during the race and got a little bit of damage, so after that I had to try and get a win by nailing the pit strategy. But almost worked, but just got pipped at the end.
Yes, that was... The finish actually caught me, because I did think you had won there for a second. It threw me off a little bit, because, yeah, we were just trying to catch up. But, yeah, Jake Maloney there just pipped you at the end. The strategy did nearly pay off, though. If it wasn't for that last caution, it was looking very good. But a second place finish is still not bad, considering there was so much carnage out there tonight.
Yeah, I haven't had much luck in this series, so to get second, pretty happy with that.
Oh, look, I do not doubt that we'll be seeing you again up here soon. It's unlikely that you won't be up here very soon again. But good luck for next week, for the next race, next fortnight. Hopefully we'll be seeing you here again, and hopefully we'll be talking to you from first place. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to tonight?
Got to thank BK Designs for the wonderful skin, the guys at Mitch Motorsports, and of course Performance E-Streaming for putting on these great broadcasts.
Yes, you do have a fantastic livery, because it makes it much easier for me, because I can always spot you coming.
Yeah, I'd like to stand out a little bit.
It always helps. Thank you so much, Jason, and we will see you again very soon.
Cheers, mate.
Okay, it looks like our winner's headed into the green room, so we'll drag him up and say hello. Jake Maloney, Carl Withy here from Performance E-Streaming. How are you going?
Yeah, pretty good. Yourselves?
Oh, pretty good, actually. Yeah, a bit tired from that race. I imagine you're a little bit worn out as well.
Yeah, especially towards the end there, it started to get a bit intense.
Yes, tell us about that last lap.
Yeah, it was interesting. I sort of saw that there was going to be a one-lap shootout, and I knew I had the big tyre advantage over the guys in front, and I sort of was hoping that would play out that way, getting Jason to block the inside and sort of drive around the outside, because I knew I'd have enough tyre grip and get the run off, and fortunately it worked.
It paid off fantastically. Now, all race we saw you just getting your way up to the top of the field and then just dropping back down and getting your way back up again. It looks like a really hard race out there tonight. From your perspective, how did you sort of go for the rest of the evening?
Yeah, it wasn't too. It was sort of interesting. There were bit of a caution period, a few cautions for a while there, and I ended up a lap down about halfway through the race. I got a speeding penalty, and then I had alt tab to change some things, and that put me a lap down, so I had to get the lap back, and fortunately got the lap back and got back into the battle.
Yes, we were sort of half watching you through the whole race, just because you just seem to have so much speed. Do you find it Martinsville's a track that you tend to go well at?
Yeah, definitely. It's by far my best track on the ovals, because it's pretty much just like driving the road courses, and all my sort of V8 Supercar experience helps a lot. and normally I go quite well at my...
Yeah, road course experience would definitely help out here. Well, it's great to see you in the box and great to see you on the winner's circle as well. Congratulations for that first victory.
Cheers, guys.
Now, is there anyone you'd like to thank tonight?
Yeah, I'll just thank Simworks that we've got on the car this year, and Down Under Graphics and the...
Well, thank you so much, Jake, and I imagine we might see you up in the box again at some stage soon this season. Hopefully I'll get a chance to talk to you again this year.
Yeah, hopefully. Cheers, guys.
Thank you so much. Okay, and I reckon we've got time for one more. I might just grab Edward Foster up just to chat to him just about that strategy he had towards the end. Edward Foster, Carl Withy here from Performance E-Streaming. How are you going?
Yeah, a little bit exhausted trying to wrangle that wreck around for the last 100 laps or so. But yeah, glad to come away with the top 10. That's for sure. A lot better than I thought I was going to come away with.
Yes, there were a few stages in that race where it looked like you weren't going to be finishing anywhere towards the front. I wanted to talk to you about the strategy you had on that last pit stop, because you seem to have a very quick pit stop.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I came in, took 4 tyres and popped back out. So I think maybe a few of the other guys were fixing some damage, perhaps. That's all I can think of. I think everyone had a lot of damage. So maybe some guys were taking some time trying to get it fixed up. I'm not sure.
Okay, yes, because I was
Oh, sorry, I do remember that. Sorry, I just remembered what actually happened. I came in the pit box, I was too far to the left for them to actually service me, so rather than try and reposition myself, I'm just like, oh, forget it, I'll just drive straight back out. That's what happened. Sorry, I forgot.
That's alright. Yeah, I was speculating whether you took 2 tyres or something, because you were extremely quick, and I wasn't getting any reading for the pit stop time, so I was very confused about that, so that's alright. You made me confused, but it did give you a top 10 finish, so 7th position overall, which was a fantastic result considering all the trouble you had tonight.
Yeah, it was looking as bleak as Soviet Russia there for a while, but yeah, in the end we managed to just wrangle it. I mean, it was so bad to drive after caught that damage, and I'm like, getting involved with the lap car coming out of the pits, I think it was, and come straight into the lead pack. So it was a bit tricky. I had people on my outside and everything. So that's how the incident happened. But after that, like, the car just had no rear end at all coming out of the turns and no turn in at all going into the turn. So it was very, very poor to drive. And look, to be honest, I probably finished up about where I would have finished up had I not had any issues. Because that was around about where my pace was anyway, so maybe a couple of positions higher, but at the end of the day, our goal is to make the chase, and a finish like this will do a lot to get us there, so I'm happy.
Yeah, consistency in points finishes are really, well, what you did last season as well, and it paid off last season, so hopefully it will pay off one position better for you this season.
Yeah, fingers crossed. But all we can do is obviously a different format this year with the chase and the eliminations and so on. So new thing for ANZCAR. It's going to make the run to the end of the season very, very exciting for everyone, and it should be just as exciting for the competitors as well. So our goal is to make that top 13 and then get through the eliminations. So we're in the final 4 come Homestead. I
am sure we will see you there. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out and a thanks to you tonight for?
Yeah, absolutely. Riley Curtis Designs, Blokes Advice as well, good title sponsor, Blokes Advice Racing, great to have them on board. EMR Industries have actually just come on board with us. Like that, they've been on board with us for a while, but they've actually just increased their relationship with us. So that's really excellent. So glad to bring home a top 10 for them tonight. What was a fairly rough night, and of course E53 ANZCAR as well for putting the names on the car.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Edward. We will catch you. I'm sure we will catch you again in a couple of races.
I hope so, and I hope next time we speak, it'll be for a top 3 or something. That'd be nice.
Well, fingers crossed. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
Okay, and with that, we will come towards the close of our evening. Very, very, very long race there tonight. Was a very tricky one for everyone, I believe, and it looks like everybody was really struggling out there tonight for grip and for pace. And I'm just checking just to see if the leaderboards have done their bits and bobs, but doesn't look like it. So what we'll do is we'll call a close for this evening's stream. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to E53 for the sponsorship for this evening, and Performance E-Streaming as ever, and all the drivers in ANZCAR for driving tonight and giving us the entertainment. Thank you, and we will see you all next time. Bye bye.